Joe, these guys have 3 20-plus point per game scorers, one who averages 30. What you see in the way you guys were able to hold them to such an efficient split tonight? Like, what do you like about your defense?
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to stop them. I mean, those guys are really good. I think it's just leveraging, what you can live with and what you can take away, and you talk about everybody is like, how are you going to defend them? How are you going to defend them? You got to attack them, so we had 14 turnovers, but I think 8 of them were dead ball turnovers, so they can't get leak outs, they can't get transition threes. So you have to, play coherent, efficient, disciplined, like real offense. And so I thought we did a good job of that. And then, they only had 1 dunk. They averaged 5. That helps a lot. And we just didn't give up the little stuff, whether it's the cuts. And then just credit to the guys for rebounding. So, they're so good. They just test your discipline. And I thought the guys did a good job of that throughout the game.
And it felt like a lot of the runs in this game where one team goes a little cold offensively, so their team was just able to get out and run, but obviously you guys had more of those. Was there something about the way you guys were limiting possessions or, crashing or, like you mentioned, the physicality on defense? Like, what allowed you to sort of have more of those types of runs?
Well, I think the dead ball turnovers, the dead ball turnovers, and I mean, they shot 18 free throws, they averaged 28. So that allows us to control the transitions of the game. So I thought it was just disciplined basketball by those guys tonight on both ends of the floor, and it's a credit to the guys.
Bobby, the same.
Joe, in this game, it's Jordan, it's Ugo, it's Baylor taking on those matchups. How did that culture, just routine you guys have of your younger guys taking on those kind of matchups form this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think one, it's the empowerment from the best players, right? I mean, I think, and the empowerment and the trust of, like, I thought, yesterday in practice, Jalen is taking Sam and Baylor and Ugo and Jordan and those guys and telling them, okay, here's James, here's Doncic, here's these guys. And so I think it starts with the leadership and the empowerment of the guys. And then, any great team has great role definition. And in order for us to be great, we have to have those guys impacting the game at a high level on the margins, and they do a great job of that, and they take pride in that. So it's the defense, it's the rebounding, it's sprinting to the corners, it's defending without fouling, it's offensive rebounds. I thought Baylor had some good offensive rebounds. I thought Jordan and Ugo changed the first quarter of that game, and I think with Sam's doing defensively, just those guys, that's what we need to do to win, and they buy into it.
Is that something that started in camp? Is that something that just developed naturally throughout the flow of the year, imagining those roles for those guys?
I mean, you stand and look at your roster, and you're just like, how can we impact the entire roster? How can we get the best of everybody? Also, what does it look like if we're at our best? Who's doing what for us, right? And so, for those guys to buy into that, and for those guys to have an understanding in that, it's a lot of credit goes to them.
Sam.
Kind of on that same note, a lot of those guys are picking up full court on defense today. How important is the volume of those guys you can trust to go out there and defend like that?
Yeah, it's again, you're never going to stop these guys in the league. It's do you have the manpower and the wherewithal to just chip away, and you're going to get clipped on a couple. We gave up a couple pick and roll threes. I thought Ugo had some great plays, and he fouls Reeves at the end of the quarter, fouls another guy at the end of the quarter. Those things are just going to happen when those guys have to play the way that they do. And so, again, it's the trust from the other guys, and it's an understanding of, like, you're not going to be perfect, but here's what you do. Here's what you have to do over the course of 48 minutes, and it's a huge component of our team. So it's a credit to them.
Adam, the J.
Where do you think Payton's confidence comes from in kind of these moments, and what kind of empowers him to just kind of rise up and not be afraid of any moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think his confidence comes from his work ethic. I think it also comes from his humility to be like, this is who I am, and this is what I have to do to get to where I want to get to. And so, when you have that humility, you have that confidence, and you have the work ethic piece, he takes pride in working, and even taking coaching. Like, tonight at the end of the game, he took a shot with like 42 seconds left, but he came up and he was like, I got to get those other guys involved. And so he's just constantly wanting to learn, constantly wanting to get better, knows who he is, and works on it.
The end of the second quarter, I think you guys scored on your last 3 trips, and it ended with the
3 for 2 in a minute and 2 seconds. Yeah,
and then it ended with Jalen finding Payton for that long 3. How important was that stretch, and what did you see there about the way you guys executed? We
didn't get a stop on the last possession on defense, but I thought it's still, again, when a team is that good in clutch games, the last 5 minutes of a game is important, but so is the end of quarters and the start of quarters. And so I think we got a stop on the first 3 possessions at the start of quarters, and then I think we managed a 2 for 1 on the most of the time. And when you're in that, getting the last shot against a team like that is super important because they're going to get a shot most times. So I thought it was really good recognition by Peyton, Derek, and JB, and I thought it was good execution. It gave us a little momentum heading into the second half.
Noah than Justin.
Joe, you've gotten a lot of questions around like how successful this team has been, exceeding expectations, things like that. I'm curious from your standpoint, if someone was to come in that hasn't been around this team as much as we have, like what do you think is the story of this team? Like I know there's a lot of narratives out there that you don't subscribe to, that you've been asked about a bunch of times that you don't necessarily agree with, but what is the story in your eyes of someone who's trying to kind of capture like what has made this team successful so far through 56?
Yeah, I mean the story's not done. So we're only a product of what we do tomorrow and what we do the next day, and that's just the story. And if we would have lost this game by 1, tomorrow's film session has to be as detailed and as disciplined as it is going to be with the result that we have. And so that's the story. It's not done yet, and we haven't done anything. All we've done is stick to the process of winning on both ends of the floor, put our head down. Don't overreact to a good win or to a bad loss, and get better the next game. So there's still plenty of stuff we can get better at from tonight. We gave up an ATO lob to LeBron. We gave up 2 bad cuts. We overhelped. We fouled 3-point shooters, and so we have to come in the film tomorrow, and we got to understand this is when we're at our best, and this is what we have to do to get better. We're playing against a good Phoenix team who's tough. They kill the margins as well, and then we got it back to back. So story is it's just not done, and we just got to keep sticking to that process.
You've said a bunch of times this year that regardless of a win or a loss, it's the same the next day. Was that the case from day one, or is that something that you saw early on and you're like, we have to be the same every day?
No, I mean, I think it's one of the strength of our best players. I think, playing as long as they have, under the expectations of winning, I think you have to have a level of perspective. And then you have to relearn that for each team. Each team, you have to go back and relearn that perspective. So I think a lot of it just starts in the locker room over the years of like, you're going to go through tough stretches. We have a lot of veteran guys that have been through that, and I think this team has learned it quickly. And then now we're able to just come in and get better, and it's a credit to those guys.
Felt like Mimi's impact went even beyond his numbers tonight. What did you see in terms of his ability to just execute his role at both ends of the floor?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest position against playing against the Lakers and teams like this is the center, right? Because they're the ones that have to be at the point of attack, or they got to stop James pick and rolls, Doncic pick and rolls, Reeves pick and rolls. And so those 3 guys and the screening of Ayton, and then they test your defensive, your line of attack, your defensive positioning, your discipline to not help up and give up lobs. And I thought both Vooch and Neemi's defensive discipline and our pick and roll defense was big time, and it's a testament to their discipline and work ethic. But those 3 ball handlers are constantly testing your discipline, your positioning, your angles, and those guys had really good possessions in that tonight.
I'm sure I'm obviously bringing up one of the narratives you rejected, but obviously after Tatum got injured, you guys weren't projected to be in the position that you guys are right now. Obviously, it's been a team effort, but specifically with Jalen, what have you seen out of him this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would expect to see something like this regardless of just the evolution of Jalen, regardless of the environment around him. And I think he's the kind of guy that's just he relishes in getting 1% better and whatever that looks like, and he just cares about winning. I mean, at the end of the day, he wants to win, so he does a good job assessing. He's smart. He knows the game, knows the league, knows what wins, knows what doesn't win. He knows the strengths and weaknesses of our team, and if you take a look at last game, he gets a triple-double. Tonight he picks and chooses his spots, and he just, what do I have to do to win? What do I have to do for the team? And how can we stick to the process of winning? I think it's just something that he loves doing, and you're seeing the product of that.
Final question, Gary.
Joe, this wasn't a regular NBA atmosphere. Like Magic Johnson is here. Pat Riley's telling in his speech to beat the hell out of the Celtics.
You said that?
Yeah, you said that.
Oh man, I wish I would have heard that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean,
that's awesome.
And Peyton on his final 3, he's talking to Reggie Miller. After do you?
He said that?
Yeah, he did say it.
No, Pat Riley.
Yeah, he did. No,
that's awesome.
Yeah, in the speech. Yeah, that's so good. Sure.
He said he said something like, "You got to beat Boston's ass" or something.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Kick their ass.
Man. Good stuff.
Do you encourage your guys to get into the atmosphere, to treat this differently than normal?
No, I don't, because I think we have to find a way to do it at Phoenix. So if it's a short-term thing, if it's an extrinsic thing that gets you to, it's going to be very hard to turn that into an intrinsic one 48 hours from now. But I think having the gratitude and the perspective of what the game like this means, and being aware of your atmosphere brings out the best in people. I mean, I think that's just the competitive nature. So, don't go out of your way to do it. We have a bunch of competitors out there. They're smart. They know, like you're saying, they know what this means. But I think you just have to have the gratitude and perspective of what the game is, and you do have to take that on a little bit. I think what you're talking about, you felt that in the middle of the first quarter. Like, I think it was like, as both teams were in like a brother-in-law game at the beginning, and then, we kind of took it to a different level. It's like, this is a different game right now, because of that. And so stuff like that is good. You just have to make sure that, you do it on a cold night in February against another team, and you have to have that same motivation, and that's the test.
Thank you, Joe.
Nice.
Glad